Imagine this. It's 1930. You are a farmer in the Egyptian Delta. You've worked the fields since dawn, and now, under the pitch-black cloak of a moonless night, you're walking the narrow dirt path home along the Nile Canal. Suddenly, the crickets go silent. The air gets heavy. You feel an intense primal urge to look toward the water. And then, you hear it.
Ahmed.
It's not a shout. It's a whisper that cuts through the darkness like a knife. It's the most beautiful voice you have ever heard, and it knows your name. If you answer, if you take one step toward that voice, you will never be seen again. This is the terror of the Nile. This is the legend of Naddaha. For thousands of years, the Nile River has been the lifeblood of Egypt. It provides water, food, and transportation. But in the rural folklore of the Egyptian Delta, the vast agricultural lands north of Cairo, the river is also a graveyard. Before electricity illuminated the nights of rural Egypt, the darkness by the water was absolute. It was a place people feared to tread after sunset, and that fear manifested into one of the most enduring and terrifying legends in Middle Eastern history, Naddaha, which translates simply to the caller. She is the Egyptian equivalent of a siren, but far more personal. She doesn't sing to ships. She hunts individuals. She is a creature of the night, a predator that stalks the banks of the Nile and its branching canals, waiting for the solitary traveler. Pinpointing the exact birth year of an oral tradition is impossible. Naddaha is timeless. However, her legend reached its peak terrifying prominence in the late 19th and early to mid-20th century in the farming communities of the Delta places like Kafr el-Sheikh, Bahira, and Dakalia. In this era, life revolved around the agricultural cycles of the Nile. The river was unpredictable. Drownings were common. People vanished. In a time before modern forensic science, these disappearances needed an explanation. The legend likely began as a vital societal warning, a terrifying curfew invented by elders to keep young men away from the treacherous, slippery banks of the canals at night. But as all great horrors do, Naddaha took on a life of her own, evolving from a cautionary tale into a genuine supernatural entity feared by millions. So who or what is she? This is where the legend becomes truly insidious. Naddaha isn't a hideous swamp monster waiting to jump out and scare you. If she were ugly, you'd run away. Accounts describe her as stunningly beautiful, a temptress. She appears on the opposite bank of the canal, or sometimes floating just above the water's surface. She has long, flowing hair that seems to move on its own, and she is often dressed in a shimmering white gown that glows in the moonlight. But the folklore holds a terrifying detail that reveals her true nature. According to many versions of the legend, if you were close enough to look down, you would see that her feet are not human. They are the hooves of a donkey or a goat. This suggests that Naddaha is not a ghost of a drowned woman, but a powerful type of water Jinn, a shape-shifting spirit taking a pleasing form to lure humanity to its doom. Her method is calculated and precise. She only appears at night and only to lone men. She never targets groups. She waits for the farmer walking home late from the souk or the young lover sneaking out. She knows your name. How she knows it is part of the mystery. When a victim hears her call, it's not just sound. It's a psychic hook. Witnesses, those few who survive near misses, describe falling into an immediate, unbreakable trance. The victim loses all sense of self-preservation. The beauty of her voice and her form becomes the only thing in the world that matters. They don't walk to their deaths. They willingly follow her into the embrace of the dark water. What happens next is the grim reality of the Delta folklore. The most common outcome is simple: drowning. The next morning, the victim's body is found floating face down, miles downstream, with no signs of struggle on their body. They simply walked into the river and inhaled the water. But there is a fate worse than death. The legends speak of those who were pulled back from the edge at the last second by friends or family. These survivors don't just walk away. Having seen the true face of Naddaha, or having broken her trance, shatters their minds. They become mute, staring blankly at walls, or they go completely mad, forever haunted by the beautiful voice calling them back to the water. For decades, these stories spread like wildfire through the village grapevines, the hikayat. Every village had a story of a cousin or a neighbor's son who heard the call. Today, rural Egypt is electrified. The pitch-black nights are mostly gone, illuminated by streetlights and the glow of mobile phones. The fear of Naddaha has faded, largely viewed now as a superstitious relic of the past. But even today, in the deepest parts of the Delta, when the electricity gets cut and the moon is hidden, you won't find many locals willing to walk alone by the Nile's edge. Do you hear the call? Naddaha remains a chilling reminder of the respect we owe to nature and the darkness. She is the beauty that kills, the voice you must never answer.